Dr. Mo with a book review. As an exercise physiologist, I guess, I say I guess because I'm not like a clinical exercise physiologist. My PhD is in exercise physiology. I'm definitely not clinical, but more of a generalist, if you want to think of it that way. But in teaching exercise physiology, studying exercise physiology for many years, I've come across a lot of textbooks in the realm of exercise physiology. Read quite a few of them. Used a couple of them for classes, so on and so forth, whether that's graduate or undergraduate. And I wanted to recommend a book if you're interested in exercise physiology and you're like, well, what's a good book? And there's some I would say more undergrad level books. I use the one by Powers and Hawley in my classes, and it is a good book. Has good pictures, which sounds like, well, what do you mean, like pictures? Pictures are important. If you study anatomy, pictures are important. If you study physiology, pictures are very helpful. If you're looking for something a little bit more advanced, though, and I wouldn't say it's incredibly difficult, right? It's not a significant leap, but it is, pushing the bar a little bit. Probably one of the best physiology books I've ever read is this one right here, right? And you can see the authors, MacDougall and Sale. And the reason I like this book, and I'm recommending it to you, is it not only provides some of the basics of exercise physiology with energy systems and muscle contraction, and but it has some really nice figures in there, pictures. It's not pictures in the sense of like you might see in the Powers book where they're colorful and all this, but they're really effective pictures in demonstrating concepts, and they're scattered throughout the book. What's unique about the book beyond that, though, is it goes into some more depth on. So a lot of times when we display the force velocity curve. The force velocity relationship as a curve. It's taking into account eccentric and isometric concentric contractions, but I haven't seen too many books that take into account what happens when you add the stress shortening cycle on top of that, right? What is this idea of stiffness? How does the sarcomere move? And if these words don't mean anything, then maybe the Powers book is a good place to start. Although you could start with this book as well. It's just going to take you a little more time to go through it, but the book does a good job of pushing some. I was always looking for a book that a little bit more. Don't give me just the basics. There's some other graduate level texts that are decent, but the one I used in college was a good book. But if you're in the field for any period of time, the information in that book isn't that interesting. Well, that's not fair. The information's interesting, but it's not really pushing your knowledge. It's not really talking about more, the complicated facets of human movement. So I just want to recommend this book for it's organized. It's very well organized, of course, like any good textbook is. It is definitely a textbook, but it didn't read like one to me. I think that's the other part of it. But it has really good figures. And I'll show just a brief. I want to be careful here because of copywriting, but just an example of what some of these diagrams look like, right? I mean, right, some really well done figures, and the figures I just kind of flashed up there. There's a lot of these were pulled from research literature, and it just has some really nice figures connecting these concepts in exercise physiology. And my interest originally in it was as I thumbed through it. Every time I see a new book, I just like to thumb through it, see what and this book really jumped out at me because it pulled in some of those advanced ideas and talking about stiffness and motor unit recruitment and thinking about how they overlap in a different way, a more advanced way. I think you'll find value in it if you're really into exercise physiology. And you notice the title was Physiology of Training for High Performance, right? And that makes sense that, we're talking about, I think of this in akin to, if you ever read Super Training by Verkhoshansky, that book it's like, if you're not a drinker, you don't understand, but it's like, to me, it's like I'm having a Guinness, right? You're like having a meal and a drink. One of those is like a meal, like, ooh, that was enough, right? Where, some of the other books are more like a light beer, right? And so this book is probably along the lines more of that Guinness, than is more of a light beer. So if you don't understand alcohol, then that won't make any sense. But it's just a heavier read. But unlike Super Training, this won't take you 6 years to try to figure out what the heck the author's saying. So anyway, I just wanted to, I won't talk in circles at this point. Good figures, well organized, good concepts, pushes the envelope. If you're looking for something more than your traditional catch and Powers book, which are great books, I would recommend this book for you. If you've been training people for any extended period of time, and you think, well, I got this exercise phys down, pick up this book. I think you'll be surprised how much you don't know. There was things in there that I had conceptualized in my mind, but to actually see it written down and brought together really was helpful. And a lot of that for me had to do within the realm of the neurological response to training and the stress shortening cycle overlapping with different contraction types and the idea of stiffness and all these these concepts, how they all mingle together. And again, there's some nice figures in here that you have to sit and kind of think about for a while and digest as you think about these concepts. Presents different ideas of how some of these outputs we see in performance might occur, thinking about those different areas, whether that's stiffness or motor unit recruitment or whatever it might be. Okay, just a quick book review. Hope you found this helpful. And if you did, be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel. I got a whole bunch of, I don't know what a whole bunch, that sounds very ambiguous. I have a few book reviews and some journal club review, started a little journal club I've been doing, and then some topical videos, of course, and every once in a while I rant, which is always exciting. I'll see you in the next video.